if this is a coup attempt, and our correspondent Owen Bennett-Jones in Islamabad believes it is looking increasingly like a coup, why has it happened now?
The coup attempt was triggered by the action of the Prime Minister in sacking the army chief. There was a perception in the country that there's no rule of law. The constitution's being violated, and the Prime Minister is treating the country as a family corporation. When the first army chief was sacked, everyone kept quiet. But when the second army chief was sacked, the army reacted.
He nominated a new chief of army staff, the Prime Minister did, and the rank and file of the army revolted against that and banked the previous chief. The troops moved in, and I further heard that members of the ruling parliamentary party have contacted the army chief and offered him their support because they feel that Mr. Nawaz Sharif was turning the country into a police state.
This is the second army chief to have been dismissed by Nawaz Sharif in 12 months. What does that tell us about his hold on power in the country?
Well, Mr. Nawaz Sharif was a very strange ruler. He fought with everyone. I wished him good luck when he began his term, hoping Pakistan would have a period of peace. But he started fabricating cases against me. The press which welcomed him, he started accusing them of treason. The president that dismissed my government and enabled him to take power, he attacked him. The Supreme Court was also attacked. And Mr. Nawaz Sharif boasted that I'm a man of crisis. I survive in crises. This crisis overcame him. And I'm concerned, as friends of Pakistan are, about the direction of my country.
It did not come as a surprise because Sharif was trying to create divisions within the army. He was trying to have his man lead the army, even though he was very junior and certainly not competent, but it was very much in line with the Sharif way of government. He had more or less destroyed all institutions by putting his personal loyalists on top, whether it was in the judiciary or the president is really like the employee. The parliament was muzzled, and the only thing that stood in the way of Sharif from becoming a complete dictator, because already it wasn't a democratic government, it was really a fascist government, and the only thing that stood in his way was the army, and he was trying to manipulate the army to get his man on top. And I guess the army just struck back.
Do you believe that General Musharraf now leads a united military in Pakistan?
Not only does he lead a united military, the saddest thing is that everyone in this country has welcomed the army. I mean, the people are really happy. I mean, if you go in the streets, there's just not one person who's protesting against this coup.
It was a general ethos of the nation which had now started suspecting Nawaz Sharif as selling out on the national objective, as well as mismanagement in the country. And Nawaz Sharif turned out to be a great destroyer of the institutions. That was the worst.
What do you mean by that?
You know what he did to the judiciary. He split them apart first. He put a set of judges against the Chief Justice, and then he did the same to the press and to other institutions. To the parliament, and of course he gagged the parliament, and finally he wanted to do the same thing to the army. And I think it was kind of a coup that he was wanting to mount against the army, and if it had worked, probably the chances of a civil war or a split within the army would have been very, very ominous, and just as well that the army acted in time.
I mean, you portray the army as having acted in the national interest.
Indeed, it is, because I think that is why the nation is rejoicing at this moment. People are very happy that Nawaz Sharif has been stopped from what he wanted to do.
But this is a very drastic action. It's an unconstitutional action by the military.
Well, the constitution is for the country and not the other way around. And I think what Nawaz to the Parliament was doing was not constitutional either. And I don't know how and why in this manner he had to act.
Does General Musharraf and the military believe that they can do a better job?
I don't think they are going to be running the affairs of the state. I think they are going to find some other solution, because I think military does realize, and that is why over the last 11 years, since the crash of Ziaul-Haq's plane, the military has kept itself back from manipulating power and getting up in front. So it has kept back, and it has kept confined to the barrack, and it was taking all sorts of sometimes nonsense from the civilian government.
Do you think that General Musharraf is by instinct a Democrat?
I think the military has learned its lesson. We have learned that democracy is a good thing for the society, for the country. But when it is a question of survival, then obviously certain things have to be done, bad as they are. It is not a desirable act, but I think the army had to do it.